Welcome back to Kermode Uncut and to part 2 of this year's official Kermode Awards. As you'll know, the Kermode Awards were set up as an antidote to the Oscars. You cannot win a Kermode Award for a category in which you have been nominated for an Oscar. Winners already announced include Best Documentary, Life Itself, Best Foreign Language Film, The Golden Dream, Best Animated Feature, The Lego Movie, Best Original Song, Love You All from Frank, and Best Score, Mika Levy for Under the Skin. So let's move straight on to the award for Best Actress. Now at the Oscars, the nominees look like this. Marianne Cotillard for 2 Days, One Night, Felicity Jones for The Theory of Everything, Julianne Moore for Still Alice, Rosamund Pike for Gone Girl, and Reese Witherspoon for Wild. Now, frankly, my money is on Julianne Moore winning for Still Alice, although I would have nominated her for Maps to the Stars, the extraordinary David Cronenberg film. Myself, I've chosen not one, but 2 Best Actress winners this year. So, the first winner of my award for Best Actress is Essie Davis for her extraordinary performance in Jennifer Kent's brilliantly chilling The Babadook.
I don't expect you to help. I just want to...
If you're that worried, you should go to the police. I've got to go.
Now, in any other year, the award would have gone solely to Essie Davis, but this has been a very strong year this year. So, the Kermode Award for Best Actress is shared with Gugu Mbatha-Raw, the terrific beating heart and soul of Belle.
I am to marry shortly. Mr. Ashford.
Oh.
He is amiable and of good family.
Moving on swiftly to the Best Actor category. Now, at the Academy Awards, the nominees look like this. Steve Carell for Foxcatcher, Bradley Cooper for American Sniper, Benedict Cumberbatch in The Imitation Game, Michael Keaton for Birdman, and Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything. Now again, my money would be on Eddie Redmayne, although people do think that in America it's possible that Michael Keaton might just steal the day. However, once again this year, I have gone for not one, but 2 choices. We've had 2 Best Actress winners. In the Kermode Awards for Best Actor, it's the same. My first winner for his extraordinary performance in Selma and shockingly overlooked at the award ceremonies, David Oyelowo.
That means protest, that means march, that means disturb the peace, that means jail, that means risk, and that is hard.
And joining David Oyelowo on the Best Actor winners podium at this year's Kermode Awards is Timothy Spall in Mr. Turner. Spall looked like he was set to storm the award season after having won big at the Cannes Film Festival, and then somehow he ended up being overlooked not only at the Oscars but also the BAFTAs.
Canvases?
Put them downstairs for me. 2 6x4s, 3 4x3s.
McGill?
Next week.
Which brings us to my award for Best Screenplay. Now, at the Oscars, there are 2 categories, Original Screenplay and Adapted Screenplay. The nominees are, for Original Screenplay, Birdman, Boyhood, Foxcatcher, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Nightcrawler. And for Adapted Screenplay, American Sniper, The Imitation Game, Inherent Vice, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. But frankly, beating both packs as far as I'm concerned is Jennifer Kent's brilliant screenplay for the Australian chiller The Babadook. It's one of the best pieces of writing I have ever come across, not just in this, but any year. And it is my Kermode Award winner for Best Screenplay.
A rumbling sound, then 3 sharp knocks. That's when you'll know he's around. You'll see him if you look.
Ba-ba-ba-duk, duk, duk.
So we're into the final 2 awards, and let's move straight on with Best Director. At the Oscars, the Best Directors line up like this. Alejandro González Iñárritu for Birdman, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, Wes Anderson for The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Morton Tilden for The Imitation Game. Now, my money would be on Richard Linklater winning for Boyhood, which is a terrific film and brilliantly directed by Linklater. However, my own award for Best Director goes to someone who's been completely overlooked at all the major award ceremonies, and shockingly so, for her brilliant job helming Belle, which was an extraordinary story about slavery and politics dressed up to look like a Jane Austen romance. My award for Best Director goes to Amma Asante.
One does not make a wife of the rare and exotic.
Does she still have a tongue? I have a tongue. Though yours explains well enough why I may not marry your son. My greatest misfortune would be to marry into a family who would carry me as their shame.
Which brings us to the big one, the Kermode Award for Best Picture. Now, as you probably know, a few years ago, the Oscars broadened their palette when it came to Best Picture. I mean, they weren't just restricted to 5 films. Was this going to mean that the Kermode Awards were robbed of a Best Film contender? Well, I have to tell you, not this year. Here are the Oscar nominations for Best Picture. American Sniper, Birdman, Boyhood, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. Now, that's a pretty good bunch of films, but it is singly lacking my favourite film of 2014. If you're a regular here at Kermode Uncut, or you've been tuning in to the Radio 5 live show I do with Simon Mayo, you will know that one film was head and shoulders above all the others when it came to my favourite film of last year. I'm talking, of course, about The Babadook.
It wants to scare you first. Then you'll see it.
This monster thing has got to stop.
You can't get rid of the Babadook.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of The Babadook. William Friedkin, director of The Exorcist, advised viewers to go and see the movie, which scared the hell out of him and which he insisted would do exactly the same for them. Personally, I think it's one of the most inventive and psychologically rich horror movies of recent years, partly because it's not just a horror movie, it's a psychological thriller, but also because it's got real depth of character. It reminds you that in order to be scared by something, you have to care. You have to care about the characters to be scared by their situation. The Babadook is an extraordinary feature debut from writer-director Jennifer Kent, from whom I expect great things in the future. So there we are, the Kermode Awards 2015. How do you think I did? Personally, I think it's a much better list than what you're going to get at the Oscars. If you're tuning in to the Oscars on Sunday night, good luck. If you're near a radio on Sunday in the afternoon, then tune into Radio 4 and hear the first part of my 3-part series, The Business of Film, telling the stories behind the films.
You can't get rid of the Babadook.